You have questions? America's #1 business coach has answers. It's your Broda from Minnesota. Here's another edition of Ask Clay Anything on the Thrive Time Business Coach Radio Show.
All right, on today's edition of Ask Me Anything, the question is asked, how do we open up our country again? Quick civics lesson here, quick civics pop quiz. Now, Aaron, you get a chance to win a total of 5,000 mega points if you get the following questions right, okay?
Oh,
and
wow.
Steve, get ready. Steve, I need your undivided attention to get ready for this.
Yep.
This is huge, okay? Here we go. So first off, when Aaron, if you can tell me, when or who first said that the coronavirus has a potential chance to kill 2.2 million Americans? Who first said that?
I am going to go with Neil Ferguson from the Abdul Jamil Latif organization.
you win a mega point.
All right, sweet.
Now, Steve, for a chance to win a mega point here, the Abdul Latif Jamil Institute that is predicting all these deaths, who runs that organization? Is it an American organization or a Saudi Arabian organization?
I think that it's a Saudi Arabian organization. I think
you win a mega point. Now, Aaron, for 5,000 mega points, who are we currently engaged in a price war with, a historic price war where the price of oil is now being sold for zero? It's actually being sold for negative. What country's leading the price war against American oil?
It's not Canada. I'm going to go, it's not Jamaica. I'm saying Saudi Arabia.
Yes, you win another mega point. Okay, now, Steve, another mega point. This is your chance to win a mega point. Here we go.
Yep.
Neil Ferguson predicted 2.2 million American deaths from the coronavirus. I'd like to know, Steve, if you can break this down for me. How long does Neil Ferguson recommend that we should shut our country down? How long? How many months does Neil Ferguson recommend we shut our country down for?
I think he said a year.
I know, Clay. I think it's 18 months.
12 to 18 months.
Oh, that's partially right.
Let's listen to Neil Ferguson explain to us right now how long we should be shut down. This is Neil Ferguson, folks, a man of credibility, a man of science, a man of reason, a man who's the director of the Abdul Latif Jamil Institute for Disease and Emergency Analytics. He says this is his recommendation. Here we go.
So I think kind of fundamental decisions have to be made by countries as to whether they're going to follow what WHO is recommending and what the Chinese did, namely attempt to suppress all transmission, or alternatively try to mitigate, in some sense control an epidemic, but short of completely stopping spread. And it's an important distinction because in the former case, effectively that's a strategy which, I mean, in theory, if it works, could largely prevent deaths from this infection, but would really have to be kept in place for 12 to 18 months until we have a vaccine available at scale. So that has enormous feasibility issues.
Right, because we're Americans, you jackass. Okay, now, Aaron, for a chance to win, this is some major...
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Where do we get at the end? Do we get the mega points, or like when do we get these?
Oh, they'll all be redeemed in the afterlife.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Whatever.
Well, it's the same argument that works. They use these arguments to convince people to blow up buildings. They say if you blow up the buildings, you get all the virgins, you get all the mega points in heaven.
Oh, so it's one of those deals.
Yeah, it's makes sense.
Dude,
it's a great Saudi Arabian pitch.
I'm kind of taking it seriously now.
People in the Middle East love that pitch. Okay,
I
so
want those
let me
mega
read
points.
this to you now. This is I'm going to read this to you, and Aaron, you are a deep man.
Oh, yes.
And this comes to us from, this is the National Health Institute from Wuhan, Wuhan is where what came from Wuhan?
That would be the coronavirus.
Dude, you are
also known as
points.
the China virus.
Okay, so what we need to do here is we need to break down some things, and you're a deep man, so I'm gonna queue up these things, and I'd like for you to just kind of break down what this means. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read it nice and slow, like an Usher song. Here we go. This notice provides guidance about the NIH, the National Institute of Health, fiscal operations. It says, Consolidated and Further Continuing Appropriations Act 2015, signed by President Barack Hussein Obama on December 16th, 2014. The act provides the National Institute of Health with $30.31 billion.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Billion. President Obama. I'll put a link to it on the show notes. Now, if President Obama gave $30.31 billion to the laboratory that was at the center of researching this bat virus, does that seem weird?
Well, it could just be a coincidence.
The one lab that he funded.
Yeah,
it could be. Well, let's give him a coincidence point.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it definitely was a coincidence.
Okay, now
it's like 1 in 100 billion coincidence.
Now,
but
Steve,
yeah.
I'm going to share with you. This is an abstract from the National Health Institute. I'm going to read this to you. Please tell me what this means. It says, here we examine the disease potential of a SARS-like virus, which is currently circulating in the Chinese horseshoe bat populations.
Yeah.
It says, using the reverse genetic system, we generated and characterized a virus expressing the spike of a bat coronavirus in a mouse-adapted. What does that mean when it says that we generated? It says we generated and characterized a virus expressing the spike of bat-like coronavirus in a mouse.
I think that means we created the coronavirus in a lab, which is what everybody's been saying.
And we say we, who?
China.
And where did they get their money from, Aaron? Where did they get their money from?
That would be Barack Hussein Obama.
China.
And
that's because it comes from China.
And $3 billion is 3,000 million dollars. That's a lot of money.
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. So you're saying again, how much is $3 billion?
That would be like writing 3,000 checks for $1 million each.
Now, so again, Neil Ferguson predicts 2.2 million American deaths, right?
Yep.
And then I'm going to play the audio, and Aaron, you get a chance to win a big mega point here. Guess who is speaking here? You get to listen to what she's saying, and then tell me. Take a guess as to who said it. Here we go. Let me cue it up.
To have a fever and symptoms to get tested at this point. So still 86% are negative. These are really important facts for the American people. I'm sure many of you saw the recent report out of the UK about them adjusting completely their needs. This is really quite important. If you remember, that was the report that said there would be 500,000 deaths in the UK and 2.2 million deaths in the United States. They've adjusted that number in the UK to 20,000. So 500,000 to 20,000.
Now, real quick, whose voice is that?
I was thinking either Melania Trump, Carol Channing, or Dr. Birx. But I'm going to go with Dr. Birx.
Dr. Birx. Now, Steve, I'm going to cue up this audio. Now, you tell me if this is something that you think makes sense. Here we go. This is
about them. I'm sure many of you saw the recent report out of the UK.
Why didn't she say, Steve? I'm sure many of you saw the recent report out of the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute for Disease and Emergency Analytics. Why did she say the study out of the UK, Steve?
Because the guy claims to be British. And he posted it as if he's a British person.
But why didn't she say that he's the director of the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute for Disease?
I think some people have really, really high levels of education.
Okay.
But it doesn't make up for how stupid they are.
So his
she's
prediction was
actually
off.
not very smart.
So even if let's just say that he has no connections at all to socialist agendas, how wrong could you be if you're quoting somebody an interest rate today? If they go to stevecurrington.com, they're looking for a mortgage, and they say, Steve, I want to lock in the rate. What's the current rate right now, Steve? What's the rate, the interest rate at stevecurrington.com?
The mid threes.
So if I said I want to lock in the rate, lock it in.
It'd be like me saying, 3.5, but then when you get to closing, your interest rate's actually 1,280.5.
I say, what do you say? No. Listen, guys, I'm sorry, I was off. Now let's think about this. Aaron, if you told somebody, hey, the house to build your house, it's normally $300,000, but I was doing the math and it looks as though my bad here. I want to make sure I do the math. I want to make sure we're not misquoting you. I was doing the math. I was talking to the team, and it's actually $7.5 million.
Yeah, I actually made that mistake the other day. I was off by a little bit, and I called him back, and I said I overpriced it. by about $7.2 million. It wasn't 7.5. It's actually only 300,000.
He was off by 25 times. He predicted 500,000 British people would die, and he adjusted that to 20,000. I mean, I'm just asking you seriously. If somebody who worked for you told somebody their interest rate would be 75%,
we'd execute him on the spot.
How wrong can somebody be before they're just no longer credible?
Well, are we talking about weathermen or other professions?
I'm just saying, let's just say there's no conspiracy thoughts at all. How off can somebody be before they are just absolutely not credible?
Well, I know on a $400,000 home, occasionally we have made an error in the amount of about $500. And the customer was completely unforgiving of being off by that amount and wanted us to give it to them for free.
Okay,
Wow.
so what we have here now is that the country has been shut down. Somebody says, well, how did the country get shut down? Well, President Trump hopped on the news and he shared the story here. Let me cue it. By the way, Trump has never closed our country. Your local governors have. Your local mayors have. Those of you who do not understand, who weren't properly taught in school, the president's job is to uphold the
Constitution.
Right.
Yep.
And things like the First Amendment, which gives you the right to peaceably assemble. The First Amendment reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Have we been prohibited? Have we been stopped, Steve, from being able to gather peacefully to worship?
Yes.
Okay. But Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble. Aaron, can we peaceably assemble?
Well, technically no, because then we would be closer than 6 feet from each other.
So what happened in a lot of cities, including Las Vegas, is they've decided to shut down the city, telling people they cannot peaceably assemble, which has then put 22 million people out of work so far.
Right.
And so I want to play the audio of President Trump explaining the governor's justification for shutting down our country. Cue up the audio. Here we go.
4 weeks ago, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, the greatest in the world, greatest in the history of the world. We had the most jobs ever in the history of the United States, almost 160 million jobs, right? And then one day, I get a call from Deborah, who's fantastic, and from Dr. Fauci. And he said, and she said, we have a problem. I said, what's the problem?
What's the problem?
And they said, we may have to close it up. I said, close what up? They said, close up the country. I said, what's that all about?
Now, she's saying you have to close the country up. By what authority, Aaron, for a mega point, does Dr. Deborah Birx or a governor have the... Can you tell me the date when we changed the Constitution that says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances unless Neil Ferguson says so?
Well, I did Google trying to find the press conference where we changed the Constitution last month, but I couldn't find anything.
You couldn't find it?
No.
Oh, well, you might have lost all your mega points there. That was you probably built a stockpile. Let me cue up audio, Steve. This is the governor of New Jersey explaining when the Constitution changed.
Yeah.
And when he was given the right to limit your ability to peaceably assemble. Listen to this real quick. This is Tucker Carlson interviewing the governor of New Jersey. Tell me, Steve, you can figure out when, because maybe some changes have happened.
I think that was when this aired.
So you made that decision, and as I noted before, 15 congregants at a synagogue in New Jersey were arrested and charged for being in a synagogue together. Now, the Bill of Rights, as you well know, protects Americans' right, enshrines their right to practice their religion as they see fit and to congregate together, to assemble peacefully. By what authority did you nullify the Bill of Rights in issuing this order? How do you have the power to do that?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this. We went to first of all, we looked at the data and the science, and it says...
Okay, so Steve, it sounds like he can't do it. Like he doesn't know.
He said, well, that's above my pay grade. We didn't really
So it's above
think
the governor's
about the
pay
Bill
grade?
of Rights. We didn't really think about the Bill of Rights when we took away your rights.
Well, there's that other position called the supreme leader who's over the governor in the states.
Like the Chinese. Again, Neil Ferguson said if we want to do the World Health Organization's recommendations.
I'm not real happy about you guys calling it the Chinese virus still.
China. Now listen, this is interesting because listen to this. Neil Ferguson said when we started out, he said if we want to take the World Health Organization's recommendations or what they did in China, we should be closed for how long, Aaron?
12 to 18 months.
And why didn't the unemployment rate spike in China when they shut it down, Aaron? Because, in communism, a lot of people don't know how communism works, but in China and communist countries, everybody gets a paycheck from the government. Everyone's told what they need to do for a living.
Yep.
The government tells you how many kids you can have. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't the unemployment rate go up in China when they shut the economy down?
Well, I guess because basically everything works out perfectly in China, and we probably just need to mirror everything that the United States does after communist China. I mean, I think that's the simple
solution. Could it be
solution.
that the Chinese unemployment rate is always 0 or 100%? They can change the number daily because they can say you don't have a job. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
They can make you disappear. That's a real thing they do.
Yep.
It's Amnesty International. Reported that there's just unbelievable amounts of mass murders in China every year. This is not new stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Dr. Ben Carlson, who is a cardiologist, he hopped on Fox yesterday, and I thought this was an interesting comment. Let me play this for you. This is Ben Carlson.
Okay.
One of the things we don't seem to talk about a lot are the number of people who have recovered, which is going to be about 98% of all the people who get it.
Wow. That's a pretty high number. And so the core question is, how do we open up America again? I mean, 98% of people recovering from the coronavirus is a pretty high number. That's
98% of people don't recover from driving a car.
I mean, it's a very high number. And Stanford now came out with a study that shows that, this is interesting. Stanford, this is in the Wall Street Journal now. It's in Fox, it's in CNN. Stanford came out with a study that shows that somewhere between 50 and 85 times more people have the coronavirus already in California. Now, Aaron, why does that matter? Why is it for a mega point here?
That means that the actual percentage of people who have died from the coronavirus is 55 to 85 times less than we initially thought it was.
Can you get out the sock puppet, Steve? I don't get it. Can you maybe explain to me real quick? Because I don't understand why. Because I actually saw someone on Facebook yesterday who posted that it seems more dangerous now that they know 50 to 85 times as many infections. I actually saw that, Steve.
I think it's more dangerous to be outside when it's windy. I think it might be more dangerous to be outside.
Explain this, though. Seriously, why is this good news? I saw somebody yesterday literally freaking out because they said a study finds that 50 to 85 times as many infections as known cases, meaning a far lower fatality rate. Why is it a good thing that more people had the coronavirus and recovered than what we knew about, Steve? Why?
It basically, everything that you've been told is false. Because if we knew about all of the people that had it, then we would obviously have already known well in advance that the mortality rate is much lower than the common flu, and it would have been nothing. But because of Dr. Birx and Fauci, who want to get internet famous probably about this, they're both, you can go look this up, and I've had some people dispute it, but there's a guy that literally wrote a book about Fauci's fraud and HIV, where he got all this funding for years.
I'm not going to take the show to Speculation Town. You can say it.
I'm more of a conspiracy theorist.
As a host, though, I go back. Listen to this. Deborah Birx was appointed by President Obama. He, in his own book, advocates communism. The book Audacity for Hope, which I've read. President Barack Hussein Obama, advocates for communism in his own book. That's a fact.
That is true. 2,
he funded the very organization that adapted and created the virus.
Yeah.
3, the doctor who is recommending us, Dr. Deborah Birx, she was appointed by him, and the guy who's in Europe talking about this, he's the director of the Abdul. Somebody should write that down. The Abdul Latif Jameel Institute. Now, we have people out there that are starting to sober up to this, so I'm going to cue audio. This was, whenever the White House does their press briefings, they leave the mics on before the president gets up there because, I don't know, it's not network television, I guess. So this is audio of a liberal who's wearing a face mask. He's wearing a face mask, getting ready for the press conference, and one of the Fox News correspondents talking when they think they're off air. Just listen to this. It's beautiful.
What's up, Johnny?
All right, man.
What do you know, baby?
You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3 according to USC.
Is it really? That's reassuring.
USC.
Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.
USC and LA County Public Health have come up with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected.
Really?
Yeah.
So what he just
Did
said.
he just say that everyone here's been vaccinated?
He's being sarcastic. But there's 221,000 and 442, somewhere between 221,000 and 442,000 people that have been infected with the virus in California that we didn't know about. And so listen to his reaction. This is beautiful. This is the guy who's he's a member of the media, and listen to how he reacts to discovering that the virus has infected that many people. Listen to this.
Really?
Yeah.
So that makes it 0.1 to 0.3? There's a study to give out by today?
Yeah, just give it to them. So it suggests the case fatality rate is about 10. What it seems.
Wow.
Which puts you right in line with the flu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
So it was a hoax.
I don't think it was a hoax.
There it is. So the reporter responds, so it was a hoax? So now that people know the virus isn't going to kill them because it's not as dangerous as people think, now that we know the virus was created in a laboratory in China, now that we know that that laboratory was funded by Barack Hussein Obama, now that we know that the people reporting it work for the Saudi Arabians, can we go back to work now? And Steve, you introduced me today to a guy by the name of Allyn Root. Steve, do you say Root or Root? What do you say?
I said Root, but I just met him too. So
Allyn Root, he is a talk show host in Las Vegas who has a major presence there in Las Vegas, and he's organizing a protest, Steve, in Las Vegas this Friday, baby, April 24th. And Steve, you're going to it.
Yep, that's right.
You gonna be leading the parade with the Trump auto-wrapped Lamborghini?
I called White Glove Auto that did the wrap, that did the Trump wrap, helped me design it. I said, Myron, I need 2 brand new tires for the rears because I'm about to drive 1,000 miles in a day.
Yep.
And he said, all right, got them. They'll be on by noon. And then tomorrow morning, at probably about 4 in the morning, I'm going to normally get to go down the turnpike with Aaron, but I'll be heading to Vegas on I-40 the whole way. It's supposed to be about a 19-and-a-half-hour drive. I'm going to try to do it in less time than that.
And I will say this for the listeners out there. If you want to learn more about it, go to rootforamerica.com. That's rootforamerica.com. If you're in the Las Vegas area, get to it. From the California area, get to it. If you live in Nevada, get to it. If you live near Nevada, get to it. It's rootforamerica.com, rootforamerica.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to interview him. And because of this ridiculous amount of people using broadband and internet and Wi-Fi, right now the connection is a little bit choppy. So I have tried to edit it together so it's not as choppy, but I do apologize in advance if you hear some choppiness on today's interview with the talk show host, Allyn Root. Folks, if you say, how do you open up America again? Well, how did North Carolina just open up America? Steve, did you see what happened in North Carolina yesterday? Did you see this?
No.
Aaron,
I heard something about Georgia.
No, I saw that there was some kind of protest going on there. But
it is truly remarkable. Let me show this to you real quick here. Here we go.
I did get a soundbite from Trump on why he called it the China virus. Did you hear that?
Give me 1 second. I'll let you show it. This is the protest in North Carolina. Look how many people are in the streets. And they're not rioting. They're not throwing rocks. They're not breaking things. Look at this. Just moms and kids and women and children and soccer moms, minivans everywhere, walking up and down the street. My Oklahomies, if you're listening to me, let's do this thing. Let's make it happen. We got to open up America again. This is how we do it. Look at that. And so their governor's like, well, hell with it. Let's open it up. You can't
For real?
stop. Yeah, they're open.
Wow. Good for them.
Look at that. Georgia just happened.
We got to do this in Oklahoma.
I'm down. Let's name the place, the time. Let's do it. Look at that. That's how you end. That's how you end tyranny, folks. And I have a suggestion for Governor Stitt, who I know some of his people in his office listen to this show. Because you violated the First Amendment and our right to peaceably assemble, I am suggesting that we should put you under house arrest until people can get out of their house arrest. And I am super serious about that. And GT Bynum, same goes for you. It is so important that we do not lose our First Amendment. The First Amendment, not the Seventh Amendment or the 18th Amendment or the 13th. This is the First Amendment.
The very first one they thought of. They're like, what's the most important thing? Well, we don't want to lose our right to peaceably assemble or religion or press or to speak our minds or petition the government.
Now, in Kentucky, they took it another step further, which I absolutely loved in Kentucky, what they're doing. In Kentucky, I'll show this image to you guys so you can see it. Look at this in Kentucky. They went to the Capitol, but they brought their ARs with them. And so this is in the Capitol. It is loaded with people with their ARs. I mean, it is just absolutely awesome. Look at this. I mean, look how many guys. Look at this. Look at this, folks. This is not social distancing. That's what we need to do, is no more social distancing, no more emotional distancing, no more distancing you from the morons who are in control of your lives. You need to know what they're doing. Get up and close and personal. Know what these idiots like Governor Stitt are doing, how they're absolutely removing your First Amendment rights to peaceably assemble. Know what that criminal G.T. Bynum is doing as the mayor of Tulsa. Know what they're doing. Be aware of your First Amendment rights and get out there. And if you're in the Vegas area, get out there right now. Learn more today by going to rootforamerica.com.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation, it is now time to open up America again, because it was never time to close it. And on today's show, we're interviewing the man, the myth, the legend, Wayne Allyn Root. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, Clay, how are you?
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. Steve Currington here, the Lamborghini driving mortgage guy, said you got to have this guy on the show. Steve, tell us how you heard about this guy.
I got a phone call today from some people that are organizing a thing out in Vegas, actually from Dane. And Dane said he found the article on the Trump Lamborghini online, and that Wayne Allyn is having this big event in Vegas, and they want to see if I can get out there. Now, it's 2 days away, which is normally a 20-hour drive in any normal vehicle, but Wayne, I think I can make it in 16 hours.
Wayne, what are you doing? What are you working on? Tell us about this event.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't want you to get arrested in the Lamborghini on the way. So try to stay below 100. Okay, do me that favor.
Okay.
So, but we do appreciate, Steve. You're the best, and we're looking forward to seeing the Trump-ramped Lamborghini. That'll be a lot of fun. We've got the Trump train bus on the way as well too, coming all the way from Arizona. You're coming from Oklahoma. I've had people saying they're flying in from Florida. Quite amazing, and I'm very proud, very there. As much as I love Trump, there's not a Trump rally, although I'm sure almost every person in it will be a Trumper. But what it is a rally to reopen the country, reopen the U.S. economy, reopen the Vegas Strip, reopen the Vegas and Nevada economy. We've got a liberal Democrat governor who's very anti-business and is literally holding us all hostage. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. You know, it's like we need to be on camera and blinking our eyes like a Vietnam veteran in Morse code. We're being held hostage by a crazy man who doesn't want to open the Vegas economy, even though there's very few people sick, very few people infected, and very, very few people have died of coronavirus in Nevada. We are not New York City, and you can't hold the entire country hostage. We don't have subways. People don't ride buses crammed together in large numbers here. People don't ride subways. People don't ride commuter trains.
Yep.
You know, I grew up in New York, in Westchester County. Everybody rides a train into the city to go to work, and then they ride subways once they get to the city. Of course there's a lot of problems in New York City. Everyone lives in small apartments, and they're living on top of, 30 people in one apartment.
For the folks out there that maybe don't know this and don't know what they want to do or don't know what you're doing or how they can get involved, where do they need to go if they want to show your support? What are the action steps our listeners can take?
Yeah, well, you can go to rootforamerica.com. That's my website, rootforamerica.com. And obviously, thousands of miles away. This is really for Vegas people or state of Nevada people. We're going to have a huge event on the Vegas Strip on Friday. We're meeting at 2 o'clock. We take off in a caravan at 3, and we expect to dominate the Las Vegas Strip and be on the evening news. And we've got people coming in for the Vegas Strip, all the 200,000 employees that are out of work now because we've closed down the Vegas Strip, trying to get it reopened, and honor the mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, who's been fighting this and calls it pure insanity. We're going to wreck the economy and destroy Vegas, just like so many other reckless liberal governors around the country are looking to destroy the economy. So, that all over America, people are destitute. We're starting a Great Depression. There are food lines and bread. You don't need to hide in your home and close people's businesses for months at a time in response to this. It's a ridiculous response. It makes no sense. If Costco and supermarkets and pharmacies can be open, then the rest of us can be open following the same safe guidelines, and that's all we're asking. This is not some radical attempt, but we need to reopen. If the Costco employees are brave enough to face this, then I think all the rest of us who own our own business and the employees in those businesses are brave enough to face this as well. We don't want to be destitute. There are some things in life worse than dying. I think cowardice is worse than dying. I don't want to. I'm willing to be on the front lines, fight, and keep my business open and keep my employees employed, and so is every other small business owner I know.
So rootforamerica.com, that's rootforamerica.com, and I want to share this with the listeners out there that maybe have not seen this information, but right now, this is mainstream media. The Wall Street Journal and CNN and Fox are now showing that new data coming out of Stanford University suggests that 55 to 85 times more people had the coronavirus and showed no symptoms than what we knew about. So this virus is turning out to be less dangerous than we thought, and the worst part about this virus is it kills economies. Wayne, for somebody who's they're thinking about coming to the rally, give us the dates, the times. What time is this rally?
Well, we're all showing up at 2 o'clock, and that we leave at 3 o'clock on Friday. This is Friday, April 24th, and we're going to just caravan down the whole Vegas Strip, and we're doing this the right way. I want to stress, we're not going to be in a crowd. We're not going to be out there giving each other the coronavirus. We're not doing anything that would cause police or the governor or politicians to denounce us. We're in our cars. We're being led by my Maserati and the Trump Lamborghini with your buddy Steve, and the Trump train. My buddy Richie's coming with his beautiful convertible Mercedes with fake news license plates mocking CNN, and there will be a caravan of literally hundreds, if not 1,000 plus cars headed down the Vegas Strip for 3 hours. And we're not going to be out in crowds. We're just doing it in cars. But guess what? The entire 3 hours, I will be broadcasting my national radio show live from my car so that we will have surprise guests, and we will have all of you in the parade or the procession or the caravan, whatever you'd like to call it, calling into the show, telling us about what's going on and what your experiences are. So basically, it's the world's first interactive drive-through protest. We're doing it in our cars, and instead of stopping to hear a speech, you're going to hear me for 3 hours on your car radio giving you all the information and play-by-play of the event. Going to be very exciting. American flags. We'll show our Trump colors. It's going to be an afternoon in Vegas that shows the governor we are alive and we are out here and we are sick of being held hostage. Reopen the Nevada economy.
Wayne, I appreciate you so much for joining us today. I encourage everybody out there, if you have not yet read the First Amendment today, check it out. The First Amendment reads like this: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people, and that includes you, to peaceably assemble, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Thank you so much, everybody in the Vegas area. If you can get to Vegas, April 24th, Friday, April 24th, go there now. Check it out. Learn more at rootforamerica.com. That's rootforamerica.com. Thank you, Wayne Allyn Root, for joining us today on the Thrive Time Show.
rootforamerica.com. Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Steve. God bless. God bless America.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2,